What's up everybody, I'm Justin with AmericanMuscle.com, and this is going to be my detailed breakdown and install of Airaid's Airaid Cold Air Intake system with their SynthaFlow oiled filter, available for your 2010 through 2014 6.2 liter Raptor. The Airaid is a no-tune required carb certified cold air intake, making it the perfect choice for Raptor owners in all 50 states who would like to take advantage of some performance and sound benefits thanks to the open element design, as opposed to going with a sealed enclosure. Now the Airaid will be one of your more pricey options in the category at the mid $300 price point, and we'll get a simple 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter from me when it comes time to get this thing installed. The Airaid will be one of a few options on the site to deliver a rotomolded plastic intake tube design here for those owners who might be a little bit more concerned with heat soak issues that otherwise might come along with a aluminum or metal intake tube. Not the case here. Again, rotomolded plastic. It is textured matte black, of course, as you can see. Airaid logo front and center here. Now, me personally, I just like the look of an all black intake under the hood. I think it flows with the engine bay a little bit better. On the other hand, if you did prefer a little bit more flash under the hood, BBK and engine both offer a polished cold air for the 6.2 Raptor that you can find here at AM. But let's quickly get into some of the performance benefits here with the Airaid system for your Raptor, because that is the #1 expectancy when bolting something like this up to your truck, no matter what engine we're dealing with here. And while Airaid doesn't give any exact manufacturer claims in regards to horsepower and torque with this particular intake, my usual stance on something like this is going to be high single digits, low double digits without a tune or anything else. Now, of course, adding a tune will only maximize the performance of the intake and the truck itself, but that is a little bit more of an investment, of course, and that is totally up to you guys in the end. At the time of this video, the JLT Cold Air for the 6.2 Raptor is the only tune required intake in the category, and that's because it does feature a larger mass airflow housing, basically this portion of the intake right here, and as a result, those intakes tend to make a little bit more power due to that larger design, but do factor in, of course, you need that custom tune to go along with it. One big thing I always like to point out with performance parts like this is that this particular intake is carb certified, it is 50 state legal, so Raptor owners in the toughest states like California can bolt this puppy up and go without catching any flack from the smog guys or the local authorities. Now, along with the rotomolded plastic intake tube design, the Airaid Cold Air for the Raptor also features one of their signature filters. This is the SynthaFlow oiled filter. Yes, it is an oiled filter, and obviously it is washable, it is reusable. So if things get a little bit dirty here, as they should with the Raptor after all, right? You can always hose this puppy off, clean it, re-oil it, and be good to go, prolonging the life of the filter itself, keep things performing at their peak levels, and ultimately save you some money in the long run. Now, if you have your own feelings about using an oiled filter compared to a dry filter or vice versa, Airaid does offer their Synthamax Dry Filter with this same exact intake for the 6.2, and you can find that here on the site as well. But ultimately, in my opinion, there's really no risk at running an oiled filter like this as long as you're careful not to over-oil the filter once you clean it and re-oil it. At that point, you can get a little extra oil on the mass airflow sensor here, and the truck might run a little rough. So just take your time, follow Airaid's detailed instructions on cleaning and re-oiling, and you should be good to go. Now, the SynthaFlow filter itself does feature their synthetic nano-web material here, and it can capture dust, dirt, and whatever kind of particles down to 2 microns in size. As far as personal experience here with the Airaid, one thing I noticed with this system installed on the 6.2, it did feel a little bit more responsive at tip-in, or basically whenever I squeeze the throttle even the slightest amount. A little bit more throttle response is never a bad thing. Another thing you can't help but notice with this thing installed is the massive increase in sound coming from under the hood and that awesome 6.2 liter power plant. And that is thanks to the open element design of the Airaid here. Now, of course, you can see it does include some weather stripping. It is going to seal to the top or bottom of the hood rather, but that is going to help keep all that hot engine bay air from sucking through the filter. But at the same time, you're still going to hear a lot of noise. So if you're into that sort of thing, you like hearing that 6.2 scream, this one will certainly be for you. On the other hand, if you don't like hearing all that extra noise, or maybe you thrash on your Raptor, bury that thing in water, you might want to consider a sealed enclosure instead from the factory airbox, or if you want to go aftermarket, Bully Dog and Engine have some sealed enclosures available here on the site. Now, as far as pricing is concerned, well, we touched on this a little bit earlier, but you will be looking at the mid $300 price point for the Airaid for your 6.2. Only the K&N Series 77 will be a little bit more dough, but keep in mind that thing does include an additional coolant reservoir. However, in my experience, guys, you just can't go wrong with Airaid in regards to quality, fitment, construction. Everything is completely top-notch and is worth the extra dough in my opinion, and that will be evident the moment you go to install this thing. And speaking of that installation, let's get into that a little bit more. And as I pointed out at the very top of this video, gang, you're looking at a soft 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty scale, maybe 30 minutes to an hour depending on your level of expertise. Extremely basic hand tools is what you're looking at here. In fact, flathead screwdriver will be doing most of your work here. If you rather use a 7 or 8 millimeter socket you can do that as well. Might make things go a little bit faster. One thing to keep in mind though, guys, you will need a Torx tool to help you with these 2 screws for the mass airflow sensor. So that's kind of the only oddball tool that I would point out here. As far as swapping out the intakes, well, removing the factory intake, just disconnect the clamp at the throttle body, and you're actually just gonna remove the top portion of the air box itself and the factory filter. To get the new Airaid installed, just simply work in reverse order. Personally, guys, I like to assemble everything on a table first before swapping it in here, just kind of like what we have on the table. That way it's just nice and easy. You fit it into place, you tighten everything up, plug in that mass airflow sensor, of course, and your installation is complete. Wrapping things up here, yes, the Airaid might be a tad on the pricey side, but you're getting excellent build quality and materials and fitment in return, a rather large bump in sound, and a little bit more power and throttle response to boot. So that is my review of the Airaid Air Cold Air Intake system for the 6.2 Raptor, which you can get right here at AmericanMuscle.com.